Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been in a situation where silence seemed like the only option? Maybe you thought, if I just stay quiet, things will work themselves out. But let me tell you something. Silence isn't always the answer. There's a strategy better than silence. A strategy so powerful it can transform relationships, open doors, and turn challenges into triumphs. And today, I'm here to reveal it to you. Silence has often been seen as a mark of wisdom. It is praised as a way to maintain peace, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and keep dignity intact. But let's pause for a moment and ask, is silence always a strength? While there are times when silence is golden, there are also moments when it becomes a missed opportunity, a sign of fear, or even an enabler of wrongs. Silence can be powerful, but it isn't always the strongest choice. Imagine this. You're in a room full of people, and someone says something that challenges your beliefs or values. You feel a knot in your stomach, but you stay quiet, convincing yourself that silence will keep things calm. Perhaps you even believe it's the mature thing to do. But over time, you find yourself replaying that moment, thinking about what you could have said or done. That lingering feeling is your inner self reminding you that silence wasn't strength in that moment. It was avoidance. True strength doesn't always come from saying nothing. It comes from knowing when and how to speak or act. Silence can sometimes send the wrong message. It can be misunderstood as apathy, indifference, or even agreement with something you don't believe in. For example, in relationships, staying silent during conflicts might seem like you're taking the high road, but it can also leave unresolved issues to fester. Expect whatever you are. Over time, that unspoken tension can build walls between you and the people you care about. There's a fine line between choosing silence as a wise response and using it as a shield. Strength doesn't lie in avoiding confrontation or difficult conversations. It lies in facing them with courage and grace. Silence, when used to avoid the discomfort of expressing your thoughts or standing up for yourself, isn't strength. It's fear dressed up as wisdom. But what about the moments when silence feels necessary? Maybe you've been taught that speaking up could backfire or create unnecessary drama. It's true that not every moment calls for words, but that doesn't mean every moment calls for silence either. Strength is about discernment, about understanding the situation and deciding what will bring the most positive change. Sometimes that change comes through words or actions, not through staying quiet. Consider this. If silence were always the best choice, we wouldn't have the great movements that have shaped history. Think of the voices that broke through oppression, injustice, and inequality. They could have remained silent, waiting for someone else to act, but they chose to speak, and that choice changed the world. Martin Luther King Jr., for example, once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." His words remind us that there are moments when silence becomes a barrier to progress, a way of holding back the truth that needs to be heard. Even in our personal lives, silence can prevent growth. How many times have we avoided a difficult conversation because it felt easier to stay quiet? But think about the relief and clarity that comes after addressing a problem head on. Speaking up, when done with kindness and intentionality, strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. It allows trust to grow and gives others the opportunity to understand your perspective. Silence can also limit your own potential. How often do we stay silent because we doubt ourselves? We hesitate to share ideas, to ask for help, or to take a stand, fearing rejection or judgment. But in those moments, silence isn't protecting us, it's holding us back. The real strength lies in stepping past that fear and letting your voice be heard, even if it trembles. This isn't to say that silence has no value. There are times when staying quiet reflects wisdom, when words would only escalate tension, or when listening is more important than speaking. But silence is not a universal solution. It's one tool in a much larger toolbox. Strength comes from knowing when to use it and when to choose another approach, be it action, words, or presence. In life, we're often told to choose our battles, and that's true. But choosing to speak, to act, or to move forward isn't about picking fights. It's about choosing courage over comfort. Silence can feel safe, but safety isn't always where strength grows. Strength grows when you dare to step into the uncomfortable, when you refuse to let fear or doubt keep you silent. So the next time you're tempted to stay quiet, ask yourself, am I being silent because it's wise or because it's easy? True strength isn't about avoiding the storm. It's about learning how to navigate it. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is break the silence and let your voice make a difference. In life, it's easy to get caught up in words. People make promises, share dreams, and talk about the things they're going to do someday. But if there's one truth that always holds, it's this: action speaks louder than words. It's not what you say that defines who you are, it's what you do. Actions are the language of truth, and they have a power that words alone could never match. Words are important, no doubt. They can inspire, guide, and comfort, but words without action are empty. They're like seeds scattered on barren ground, full of potential but unable to grow. How many times have we heard someone say, "I'll do it," only to find that nothing gets done? How often have we told ourselves, "I'll start tomorrow," only to let that promise slip away? The reality is, words without action are like unfulfilled promises. The promise is a good word. The promise is the great idea. The reality is, words without action are like unfulfilled promises. They don't create change and they don't move us forward. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they aren't the ones who talk the loudest. They're the ones who do. They're the ones who take bold steps, even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. They're the ones who show up when it matters, who follow through on their commitments, and who let their actions tell the story. These are the people who inspire trust and respect because they understand that actions, not words, reveal character. When it comes to building relationships, actions carry even more weight. You can tell someone you care about them, but if your actions don't align with your words, the message won't land. Love isn't just saying, "I'm here for you." It's showing up when they need you, listening when they speak, and being consistent in your care. Whether it's a friend, partner, or family member, people remember what you do far more than what you say. Actions prove the sincerity of your intention. This truth doesn't just apply to relationships, it applies to your goals and dreams as well. You can talk all day about what you want to achieve, but until you take action, those dreams remain just that, dreams. Action is what bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It's the fuel that turns ideas into reality. You don't have to have all the answers or the perfect plan. You just have to take the first step, and then another, and another. Progress is made in action, not in waiting for the perfect moment. In times of challenge, actions speak even louder. When faced with adversity, some people talk about how hard it is, while others get to work. They focus on solutions rather than problems. They may not have all the answers, but their willingness to act sets them apart. Action demonstrates resilience and courage, even in the face of uncertainty. It's a reminder that we're not defined by the obstacles we face, but by how we respond to them. On the other hand, inaction can cost us more than we realize. It's easy to get stuck in analysis, overthinking every decision. until we talk ourselves out of moving forward. But hesitation and procrastination are the enemies of growth. The longer we wait, the harder it becomes to take the first step. And while words may give us a temporary sense of comfort, telling ourselves we'll start soon or do it eventually, they can't replace the momentum that comes from taking action. Action is also a powerful teacher. When you step out and do something, even if it's imperfect, you learn, you grow, you gain experience and confidence. It's in the doing that we discover what works and what doesn't. Mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Each step, even the small ones, brings you closer to where you're meant to be. It's important to remember that actions don't have to be grand to be impactful. Small, consistent actions over time create lasting change. A kind gesture, a helping hand, or a moment of effort can make a world of difference. Sometimes the smallest actions have the greatest ripple effects. They inspire others, build momentum, and lead to results that words alone could never achieve. So the next time you're tempted to rely on words alone, remember this: action speaks louder, always. Don't just talk about what you're going to do, start doing it. Don't just tell someone you care, show them. Don't just plan for the future, take steps toward it today. Your actions are your voice, your legacy, and your truth. Speak loudly through what you do and watch how the world begins to listen. Words have incredible power. They can inspire, heal, motivate, and transform. They can build bridges and tear down walls, but their power doesn't come from the quantity of words spoken or written. It comes from their intention. Intentional words, carefully chosen and purposefully delivered, carry a weight that can shape lives and create meaningful impact. It's not about saying more, it's about saying what truly matters. Every day, too often we underestimate the influence our words have. In moments of anger or frustration, it's easy to let careless words slip out, only to regret them later. A harsh remark can damage a relationship in seconds, while a single encouraging word can uplift someone for years. That's why it's essential to harness the power of intentional words. When we speak with purpose, we can influence others positively, strengthen our connections, and make a difference in ways we never imagined. Intentional words begin with thoughtfulness. They require us to pause and reflect before we speak. What are we trying to communicate? Are our words aligned with our values and the message we want to convey? This level of awareness allows us to use words as tools for clarity and connection, rather than as weapons of confusion or division. Speaking intentionally means choosing words that bring light to a situation, even when it's challenging or emotionally charged. Think about how many times you've been in a conversation where someone said exactly what you needed to hear. Maybe it was a simple, "I believe in you" during a tough time, or "you're not alone" when you felt isolated. Those moments stick with us because they're rooted in intentionality. The person who spoke those words wasn't just filling the silence. They were speaking from the heart with purpose and sincerity. Intentional words also have the power to transform how we see ourselves. Self-talk, the internal dialogue we engage in every day, shapes our mindset and actions. When we speak negatively about ourselves, even in passing, we reinforce doubt, fear, and insecurity. But when we intentionally speak words of encouragement, affirmation, and strength, we begin to shift our perspective. "I can't" becomes "I'll try." "I'm not good enough" becomes "I'm growing every day." These small but powerful changes in language can reshape our confidence and outlook. In relationships, intentional words are the glue that holds people together. It's not enough to assume that others know how we feel about them. Love, appreciation, and respect need to be expressed regularly and intentionally. A heartfelt compliment, a genuine thank you, or an apology when we've made a mistake can mend wounds and deepen bonds. On the flip side, withholding kind or meaningful words can leave relationships feeling cold and distant. Sometimes, the most impactful thing we can do is simply tell someone what they mean to us. It may sound. Intentionality with words also extends to how we handle conflict. It's easy to let emotions take over and say things we don't mean. But in heated moments, intentional words can diffuse tension and foster understanding. Instead of lashing out with blame, we can express our feelings calmly and clearly. Instead of escalating a disagreement, we can focus on finding common ground. Words chosen with care have the power to turn arguments into opportunities for growth. But intentional words don't always have to be serious or profound. They can also bring joy and laughter. A kind joke, a lighthearted comment, or a playful remark can brighten someone's day. When spoken with good intentions, even the simplest words can bring happiness and connection. The key to harnessing the power of intentional words lies in listening. Before we speak, we must listen, really listen, to others and to ourselves. What do they need to hear? What do we need to say? Intentional words aren't about impressing others or filling the silence. They're about meeting people where they are and speaking to their hearts. It's important to remember that intentional words are not always about saying the right thing at the perfect moment. Sometimes they're about having the courage to speak at all. Expressing love, gratitude, or even vulnerability takes intentionality. It's about being authentic, honest, and brave enough to let your words reflect your true self. At the same time, intentional words are not limited to what we say. They're also in how we say it. Tone, body language, and timing all play a role in the impact of our words. A kind phrase spoken with sincerity carries far more weight than one delivered half-heartedly. The way we communicate matters as much as the words themselves. Every day, we have countless opportunities to use words intentionally, whether it's through a conversation, a text message, or even a post on social media. Our words have the potential to shape the world around us. By choosing them carefully and speaking with purpose, we can inspire change, strengthen relationships, and leave a positive mark on the lives of others. So take a moment to reflect on the words you use, both with others and with yourself. Are they building up or tearing down? Are they encouraging growth or spreading doubt? The power of intentional words is always within your reach. Speak with purpose and watch how your words create ripples of impact that extend far beyond what you can see. Influence is one of the most powerful tools we possess. It isn't about manipulation or control. It's about the ability to inspire, motivate, and create positive change in the lives of others. True influence is an art, one that requires understanding, empathy, and intentionality. It's not about demanding respect or authority. It's about earning it through your actions, words, and character. To master the art of influence, you must learn to lead with integrity, connect with others on a deeper level, and communicate in ways that inspire trust and action. The foundation of influence lies in authenticity. People are drawn to those who are genuine and transparent. When you live and act in alignment with your values, others can see it. Authenticity builds trust, and trust is the cornerstone of influence. You don't need to pretend to be perfect or have all the answers. Instead, embrace your humanity. Show others that you're willing to grow, learn, and adapt. When people see that you're real, they're more likely to listen to what you have to say and follow your example. Empathy is another critical component of influence. To influence someone, you need to understand their perspective, their needs, and their challenges. This requires listening, not just hearing the words, but truly understanding what's being communicated. Empathy allows you to connect with others on an emotional level, which is where true influence begins. When people feel seen and understood, they're more likely to trust you and consider your perspective. Influence is not about imposing your will. It's about creating a bridge of understanding and working together toward a common goal. Communication plays a pivotal role in mastering influence. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Your words have the power to inspire, encourage, and empower, but only if they're delivered with clarity and intention. To be an effective communicator, you must learn to adapt your message to your audience. Speak in a way that resonates with their values and experiences. Use stories and examples to illustrate your points, as people are more likely to connect with narratives than abstract ideas. And above all, be mindful of your tone and body language. Nonverbal cues often carry more weight than the words themselves. Good weight leadership is controlling. Leading by example is perhaps the most impactful way to influence others. Actions speak louder than words, and people are far more likely to follow someone who practices what they preach. If you want to inspire others to be kind yourself. If you want to encourage hard work and perseverance, demonstrate those qualities in your own life. Influence is earned through consistency and integrity. When your actions align with your words, you become a person others can trust and look up to. Another essential aspect of influence is the ability to inspire others to believe in themselves. Influence isn't about spotlighting your own greatness. It's about helping others recognize their potential. Encourage people to step out of their comfort zones, to try new things, and to pursue their dreams. When you uplift others and help them succeed, your influence grows naturally. People are drawn to those who make them feel capable and empowered. Patience and persistence are also key to mastering influence. It's not something that happens overnight. Building trust, understanding others, and inspiring change takes time and effort. There will be moments when you feel like your words or actions aren't making an impact. But remember that influence is a gradual process. Each interaction, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture. Stay consistent in your efforts and don't give up when results aren't immediate. True influence is built over time through steady, intentional actions. Another important part of influence is being adaptable. The ability to adjust your approach based on the situation or person you're dealing with is invaluable. Influence isn't about rigidly sticking to one method. It's about understanding that different people respond to different styles of communication and leadership. Flexibility allows you to connect with a wider range of individuals and navigate complex situations more effectively. Finally, mastering the art of influence requires a sense of purpose. Why do you want to influence others? What is the impact you hope to create? Influence without purpose is hollow, but influence driven by a meaningful goal can change lives. Whether it's to inspire a team, advocate for a cause, or strengthen your community, having a clear purpose gives your influence direction and depth. When people sense that your intentions are genuine and rooted in something greater than yourself, they're more likely to be inspired by your vision. In the end, influence is not about power or authority. It's about connection, inspiration, and trust. It's about using your voice and actions to create positive change and uplift others. When mastered, the art of influence allows you to leave a lasting impact, not just on individuals, but on entire communities. By leading with authenticity, empathy, and purpose, you can inspire others to follow your example and work together towards something extraordinary. Life often presents us with moments that push us to choose between two responses: to act with faith or to retreat in fear. These moments come in different forms: opportunities that challenge our comfort zones, setbacks that threaten our sense of security, or decisions where the outcome is uncertain. While fear whispers a retreat, urging us to step back into safety, faith calls us to move forward, trusting in possibilities we can't yet see. Choosing faith over fear is not always easy, but it's a powerful approach that can transform how we navigate life's uncertainties and challenges. Fear is a natural response to the unknown. It's our mind's way of protecting us from perceived dangers, keeping us in familiar territory. But while fear has its place in safeguarding us from real threats, it often oversteps its bounds. Fear can paralyze us, convincing us that failure is inevitable, that we're not ready, or that the risks outweigh the rewards. It amplifies doubts, clouds judgment, and builds walls around opportunities that could lead to growth. Left unchecked, fear becomes the silent architect of missed chances and unfulfilled potential. Faith, on the other hand, is a response rooted in trust and courage. It's not about ignoring challenges or denying reality. It's about believing that there's a way forward even when the path isn't clear. Faith fuels resilience, allowing us to face difficulties with confidence rather than retreat. It shifts our focus from what could go wrong to what could go right. Where fear sees obstacles, faith sees opportunities for learning, growth, and breakthrough. Choosing faithful responses over fearful retreats begins with mindset. Fear thrives on uncertainty, but faith finds strength in it. Instead of dwelling on worst-case scenarios, faith invites us to reframe uncertainty as possibility. It's about trusting that even if the outcome isn't exactly what we hope for, the process will bring value to our lives. This mindset doesn't eliminate fear. It acknowledges it while refusing to let it dictate our actions. Taking faithful action also requires stepping outside of our comfort zones. Growth rarely happens in places of familiarity. The dreams we want to achieve and the lives we want to lead often lie just beyond the boundaries of what feels safe. Faith asks us to take the first step, even if we're unsure of the destination. It's in those moments of bold action where we move despite our fears that we discover strength and possibilities we didn't know existed. One of the most transformative aspects of faithful responses is the way they build confidence over time. Each time we choose faith over fear, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling uncertainty and overcoming challenges. Even when the outcome isn't what we expect, the experience often leaves us stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next challenge. Over time, this builds a foundation of courage that makes it easier to face future fears with faith. Faithful responses are also contagious. When others see us act with courage and trust, it inspires them to do the same. Our example can become a catalyst for positive change, encouraging others to break free from their own fears and take bold steps. Fear isolates, but faith connects. It brings people together around shared goals, aspirations, and possibilities. It's important to recognize that choosing faith doesn't mean dismissing fear entirely. Fear can provide valuable insights when approached thoughtfully. It alerts us to potential risks and areas where preparation is needed. The key is to let faith guide how we respond to those insights. Instead of allowing fear to shut us down, we can use it as a tool to move forward more wisely and intentionally. Faithful responses are not limited to grand, life-changing decisions. They show up in small, everyday moments too. It's the decision to speak up when it's easier to stay silent, to try again after a setback, or to approach a difficult conversation with openness rather than defensiveness. These small acts of faith may seem insignificant, but they create momentum. Over time, they build a habit of courage that becomes second nature. Choosing faith over fear doesn't guarantee an easy path. There will still be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But faith equips us with the strength to keep going. It reminds us that we don't have to see the whole picture to take the next step. Faith empowers us to trust the process, even when the outcome is uncertain. In the end, life is too short to be governed by fear. Fear may offer temporary comfort through avoidance, but it ultimately leads to regret. Faith, on the other hand, opens doors, builds resilience, and creates a life of purpose and meaning. By choosing faithful responses over fearful retreats, we not only transform our own lives, but also become a source of light and courage for those around us. And we step out in faith, we show others what's possible. And that's a legacy worth building. Courage and vulnerability often seem like opposing forces. We tend to associate courage with strength and resilience, while vulnerability is often linked to weakness or exposure. However, the truth is that vulnerability requires one of the greatest acts of courage. It takes immense strength to lower our defenses, to open our hearts, and to show the world who we truly are. Courageous vulnerability is a powerful force that can transform our relationships, foster growth, and help us lead more authentic and fulfilling lives. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that showing vulnerability means exposing flaws, admitting defeat, or inviting judgment. As a result, we hide behind masks of perfection and invulnerability, afraid to let others see our true selves. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's a profound form of strength. It means being willing to face uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure in order to connect with others and live authentically. At its core, courageous vulnerability is about embracing our humanity. None of us are perfect, and pretending otherwise only creates walls between ourselves and others. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we acknowledge that we are imperfect, but still worthy of love, connection, and respect. It's in this acknowledgement that we find true power, the power to connect on a deeper level, to inspire others, and to create spaces where authenticity thrives. One of the greatest gifts of courageous vulnerability is the ability to build stronger relationships. When we allow ourselves to be open and honest with others, we create an environment of trust and mutual understanding. Sharing our fears, struggles, and insecurities can be intimidating, but it also invites others to do the same. This openness fosters a sense of connection that is impossible to achieve when we are guarded or closed off. True intimacy, whether in friendships, family relationships, or romantic partnerships, requires vulnerability. It's through sharing our authentic selves that we allow others to see us and love us for who we are. Vulnerability also unlocks the potential for personal growth. When we're willing to step outside our comfort zones and face the fear of being judged or rejected, we discover new strengths within ourselves. Growth often comes from moments of discomfort, and vulnerability pushes us to confront those moments head on. It teaches us resilience, self-compassion, and the ability to navigate challenges with grace. Embracing vulnerability, we learn that we are capable of handling far more than we might have imagined. In addition to personal growth, courageous vulnerability fosters empathy and connection with others. When we share our struggles or challenges, we remind others that they're not alone. Vulnerability breaks down the illusion of perfection and creates a sense of shared humanity. It's often through our most vulnerable moments that we inspire others the most. A leader who admits their mistakes, a friend who shares their fears, or a family member who opens up about their challenges can create a ripple effect of authenticity and connection. However, vulnerability doesn't mean sharing everything with everyone. It's important to practice discernment and share our hearts with those who have earned our trust. Vulnerability is a two-way street, and when met with respect and compassion, it has the power to deepen bonds. Being vulnerable doesn't mean oversharing or putting ourselves in situations where we feel unsafe. It means choosing to be open when it matters most, even when it feels difficult. Fear is often the biggest obstacle to vulnerability. We fear judgment, rejection, or being perceived as weak. But the truth is, vulnerability doesn't repel people, it draws them closer. When we're honest about our fears and struggles, we allow others to see our courage in facing them. This honesty inspires others to embrace their own vulnerability and encourages a culture of authenticity and acceptance. Courageous vulnerability also challenges the idea that we have to have it all together to be worthy. Society often celebrates perfection and strength, but the most inspiring stories are often those of perseverance, humility, and resilience. When we share our imperfections, we not only liberate ourselves, but also give others permission to do the same. Vulnerability is a reminder that being human is messy, complex, and beautiful, and that's something worth celebrating. Living with courageous vulnerability takes practice. It requires us to confront our fears, silence our inner critics, and take the risk of being seen, but the rewards are immeasurable. Vulnerability allows us to live authentically, connect deeply, and experience life with a fullness that is only possible when we let go of the need to appear perfect. It reminds us that true strength lies not in hiding our flaws, but in embracing them as part of who we are. Ultimately, courageous vulnerability is a powerful act of self-love and trust. It says, I am enough just as I am, and invites others to see us through the same lens. It allows us to show up for ourselves and for others in meaningful ways. By embracing vulnerability, we not only enrich our own lives, but also inspire those around us to live with greater authenticity and courage.